What is up, Chiefs Kingdom? Welcome back into another live post-game show on both Show Me Football and KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Josh Fann, and this evening I am joined by my co-host and good friend, Michael D'Arcy of KC Sports Report, and we're here to react to the Kansas City Chiefs getting embarrassed in Super Bowl 59 by a final score of 40-22, falling just short of their three-peat goals. That is how the season ends. We have a lot to say about it. There will also be a lot in the coming days, guys, a lot of coverage of this game, what the plan is this offseason, what went wrong. But this is just going to kind of be, I'll just be blunt, a bitch session between Michael and I about this game. And we welcome you guys to join us in the bitching as well. So, Michael, I'm going to let you get the opening take here, the first take. What are your thoughts, man? 40-22, Chiefs lose.
Man, that was tough to watch. That was the worst Chiefs game of the Patrick Mahomes era. So many things went wrong, and I feel a lot like I did back in 2020 when they lost that Super Bowl to the Bucs. I feel like this was very similar. I actually tweeted out in the first quarter that it's Tampa all over again. Like, this is just the exact same thing that happened. The offensive line couldn't hold up. Patrick Mahomes was rattled, wasn't able to make an impact. And to think that my dumbass thought that the Chiefs offensive line would not allow any sacks to this defensive line. I don't know what I was thinking. I was on crack. Who knows? But I could not believe the way the Chiefs came out in this game. I thought they looked flat on offense. Defensively, I didn't think they looked that bad in the first half. You know, when Patrick Mahomes throws two interceptions, one of which was a pick six to Cooper DeJean, and the other one went right into the hands of Zach Bond at like the 10-yard line, the Chiefs just dug themselves in a massive hole. And so the Chiefs ended up getting blown out in a Super Bowl. And I'm going to be honest, Chiefs fans, I stopped watching after the third quarter. I was like, you know what? I don't need this. For my sanity, I don't think I can continue to watch. And, you know, I was listening to it in the car on my drive back to Lawrence, but no, I was pretty much checked out. I thought this game was over by halftime because while the Chiefs have been the comeback kids, while the Chiefs have found ways to pull off incredible comebacks, double-digit comebacks, this one was different. This one was different because they couldn't win up front. The line of scrimmage was just not in their favor. They lost because the offensive line couldn't hold up. The time of possession was bad. I mean, again, the coaching staff, I don't know what Andy Reid was thinking that after Mike Caliendo was just a revolving door at left guard, they didn't put in DJ Humphries at left tackle. Like, they didn't try anything to help him out. They didn't try anything to change offensively. I thought the coaching staff did a really poor job in this game. Patrick Mahomes also threw on damn near every drop back when he couldn't have any time to throw. So, like, what was the coaching staff doing in that moment? But I will say, Saquon Barkley didn't have that great of a game. I think the Chiefs defense did a great job of stopping him, but they still lost. And you know what? The slime hats get annoying. I'm getting pissed off.
I think that's what hurts the most. And I'll stop you right there because I think if I told you, Michael, that Saquon Barkley averaged, under 4 yards per carry in this game, you would have thought the Chiefs won. Like, oh my God, they stopped Saquon, they win this game. And I think, early on you saw the defensive game plan was sell it to stop Saquon, force Jalen Hurts to beat you. The problem is, Michael, Jalen Hurts did beat you. And not only did he beat you, he kicked your ass.
Josh, we got molested. We got molested on live television in front of the entire world. And I will say this. There's going to be a very small percentage of Chiefs fans that might say, hey, there were some questionable calls in this game. That's not why the Chiefs lost. But I do want to say, isn't it really fitting that all season we hear the Chiefs are cheating, using the refs to rig the games, and then when the Eagles put belt to ass and beat us, I don't hear a single soul talking about the officiating in this game. Not a single person is complaining, and it's just like, man, I'm going to crash out. I'm going to lose my mind. And guys, I'm pretty good at handling trolls. I'm pretty good at, saying, haha, we lost. We'll take the loss. If I see a Raiders fan outside of the ones that I know, if I see any Broncos or Chargers fans in this live stream, I'm going to block you. You know why I'm going to block you? Because your team wasn't good enough. You don't even deserve to talk shit. Your team does not even, you can't even breathe the same air that we do. Because guess what? while the Chiefs did lose this game, it stings. It doesn't feel good. Josh, I got 2 flags behind me on the wall. Super Bowl 57 when they beat the Eagles, Super Bowl 58 when they won a Super Bowl in the Raiders' home. I've got 2 Super Bowl rings personally. So guess what? Yeah, this loss sucks. I got 2 of them. Like, you can't win it every year. You can't do it.
No, you cannot. And I have a lot to say. Some of it may be kind of hot takey. The game's still fresh on my mind. I have a lot to say, but real quick, Michael, before anything else, I do want to give a shout out to everyone watching right now because we're only 6 minutes into the stream and we have 113 people watching.
It's all those people that are.
And
I knew it was going to pop. I knew it was going to pop.
And I want to highlight this comment from Choco G. He says, "You guys were awesome all season. Thank you for that. This hurts, but we'll be back here next year." And I appreciate you for the comment. And yes, I do think the Chiefs have a great chance of getting back next year, although we're all frustrated about this game right now, and that's really what this stream is about. But we'll have plenty of offseason content to go over what the Chiefs can do to get back. But guys, make sure you like this video, whether you're watching on my channel, whether you're watching on Michael's channel. Helps us get found. Leave a thumbs up for all 120 of you that are watching right now. Again, huge props to you guys for tuning in tonight on an otherwise very busy night. I know all the other Chiefs channels got their stuff going on, so appreciate it when you guys choose us. But here's the thing, Michael. I've dealt with a lot of trolls already. And I know there's probably even going to be some in here. And I'll give them this. I'll give the trolls this. I'll give the Eagles fans this. I said in this game that this Eagles pass rush was maybe the weakest that the Chiefs have faced in a Super Bowl. And I still think personnel-wise it was, but I was wrong about the way that the Chiefs' offensive line would handle them. I was wrong about how this matchup would go, and I'll eat my words there. I thought the Chiefs' offensive line was going to neutralize the Eagles' pass rush. Now, that said, I thought that, the matchups that did worry me were the ones that came back to bite the Chiefs in this game. It was Mike Caliendo, and it was Joe Thuney also against that speed, Michael, of the Eagles' defensive line. Josh Sweat, Nolan Smith, those guys gave Joe Thuney, Brandon Graham even, looked great considering he just got activated off of IR. Those guys gave Joe Thuney a tough time. And Mike Caliendo struggling is one thing, but man, Joe Thuney not being good at left tackle when he's supposed to be your answer, that's just kind of the straw that breaks the camel's back there in that situation. And it looked like Super Bowl 55. Early on, I feel like Super Bowl 55, it was so bad that it's like that thing that it's just like traumatized us as Chiefs fans, right? To where like anytime they start slow in the Super Bowl, you're like, oh man, this feels Super Bowl 55-ish. Like this kind of looks like Super Bowl 55. And you felt that way in this one as the Chiefs offense sputtered and as the defense couldn't carry on, they couldn't hold on anymore. It just got worse and worse. And look, man, props to the Eagles. They had a great defense in this game. They pressured the Chiefs on more than half of their offensive snaps, and they did not blitz one time in this game, Michael. And I think that's yet another signal that, man, Brett Veach, he's got to get his stuff together when it comes to addressing left tackle. And I'm not going to sit here on this stream and blame Brett Veach because, we've given the Chiefs their props all year, Michael. You can't just celebrate them all the way up until they lose and be like, oh, no. Yeah. Hop on the other side of the fence and be like, now the Chiefs suck. Brett Veach sucks, all that. But I will say, the weaknesses got exposed. And I think, one thing that really pisses me off watching this game and the way it unfolded is that the Chiefs offense and Patrick Mahomes more specifically has been neutered by this coaching staff in the front office. Like he was kind of turned in to Alex Smith this year, and he threw a lot of uncharacteristic interceptions very early in the season. The offense really struggled to score 30 all year. And I think, maybe this game was that reality check. Hey, man, this offense wasn't right all year, and the Eagles saw what your weaknesses were, and they just capitalized on them in this game. Like, you got out-coached. And, that's what –
oh, yeah.
That's what really hurts the most, too, is, Andy Reid, again, got thoroughly out-coached in the big game. And I understand you're not going to win all of them. And, man, I really wanted to, break these takes into pieces, but, I'm just free-flowing right now.
Just let it all go.
Man, obviously this Chiefs team is a dynasty. They've won 3 Super Bowls in a 5-year span. Could have won 4 in a 6-year span. Would have been awesome, right? So I don't want to diminish what the Chiefs have accomplished because they did not win this game. But man, it's going to be weird looking back in NFL history and being like, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs were a dynasty because they won those 3 Super Bowls. But then there were those 2 Super Bowls where they got their ass just destroyed. Yeah. And that almost kind of takes away from it just a little teeny bit. Obviously you still won 3 Super Bowls that, it cannot go overlooked. But you're going to start to see people, mainly the talking heads on TV, say the Chiefs have been stripped of their dynasty tag.
Man, I saw something on TikTok of a guy that basically was like Patrick Mahomes when he whines after getting absolutely destroyed in the Super Bowl, after getting bailed out by the refs all year. I almost crashed out. Multiple times tonight. I'm at a point.
Here's the thing. You don't see a single Chiefs fan blaming the refs, even though they had some calls go against them in this game.
We got destroyed, and you can't really blame the officiating when you do get destroyed. But I think that Chiefs fans need to understand this. While it sucks the team didn't three-peat, the reason that I feel so optimistic, and listen, guys, I've been here. I've been creating content long enough. I talked about that Super Bowl loss. I've been on YouTube long enough to talk about losing a Super Bowl. I didn't sleep last time. I genuinely did not sleep when the Chiefs ended up losing the Super Bowl. Josh, do you hear that crazy, hi-fi sound? Oh, no, we can't hear you. It's over, Josh. It's over. We might be able to hear you now. Hold on.
How about now?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay.
I thought, was that the refs tapping in?
It could be. It could have been. It might have been rigged. It might have been rigged, Michael.
It's all rigged. But it's back. You can't even talk about it being rigged. Oh, we can't hear you. Goodness gracious. Even our production value is looking like the Chiefs right now. Now we can't hear you. This has been a shit show of a night, ladies and gentlemen, from all angles. Even the people behind the camera, we can't do it right either. Man, I feel like I will say I'm at a point in my life where I've seen my teams win so much. I mean, KU got a natty in New Orleans a couple of years ago. The Royals won in 2015. The Chiefs have won 3 titles in 5 years, and it would have been great if they could have three-peated because that separates them from everybody else. But everyone overreacting and saying the Chiefs are just going to completely melt away, that's not going to happen. Now, the Chiefs might not win it next year. The Chiefs are going to get back to the Super Bowl. The Chiefs are going to try to find, some way to capitalize. But Josh, I'm seeing a lot of people kind of celebrating this is the downfall of the Chiefs. It's over. But I see a young team that, is going to go into the draft. And if they draft well, they're going to be right back in the same spot next year. And we can't hear you. This is a horrible night. I'm getting so close to just losing my mind, Josh. This is bad. Maybe leave and come back. I guess it's your stream. I don't even know how we do that, but I have no idea. Okay. Josh is going to come back. So that means that you guys are stuck with me talking about this game, man. I feel like it's not just one thing. While it'd be awesome to talk about how, the offensive line was the only reason the Chiefs lost. No, everyone didn't show up. There was a handful of guys. Xavier Worthy played great. Xavier Worthy was fantastic. That's it. Shout out. I mean, you saw guys just completely get embarrassed on the offensive side of the ball. You saw, defensively, there was a couple of plays where Trent McDuffie got burned and Jalen Watson got burned. It was a bad night. No one really showed up to play in this game. And Josh, what do we got going on right now?
I just joined from my phone, so hopefully you can hear me now.
We're so bad.
We may have to just roll like this the rest of the night, but I still have you on my monitor as well, and I can start in comments. So we're good. It's just the quality is down a little bit.
Man, this is something. This has been an incredible night in every worst way possible.
I just think the Chiefs, they're going to have a lot to do this. They have a lot on their to-do list this offseason after this game. This is the type of game where you got beat so bad
that it almost makes you question, like, man, where are we actually good on this team? And I'm not saying that they aren't like strong at some positions. They obviously are. Like, I still think, they're really good at wide receiver, assuming they bring most everyone back. Like, the right side of your offensive line is still pretty solid, but it's just like, man, this is the type of game that makes you question everything about your team. And that sucks. And it was Super Bowl 55-ish. And I just think, it's about time that Brett Veach gets aggressive in the left tackle market. Whether that be, getting a guy like Ronnie Stanley as a free agent, or if you're going to get a left tackle, like, trade up in like the top 10 of the draft and get your guy at left tackle. Because I saw a stat on Twitter, in 5 Super Bowls, Mahomes has played with 5 different left tackles. And to not have stability there at the second most important position on offense is a major problem that continues to hinder this team and is what is leading to some of these blowouts in the Super Bowl.
Man, it's Ron Lee Stanley and a bunch of garbage cans. That's
the problem. It's a very weak left tackle free agent class, and that's the worst part about it. And it's also not a deep left tackle class in the draft either. This is a really bad time to need a left tackle for the Chiefs, and unfortunately, maybe their biggest need this offseason.
Yeah, no, it's definitely their biggest need. I will say that we were able to kind of mask a lot of the deficiencies this year. We had so many injuries, like everyone has injuries, but Chiefs had so many injuries. I mean, their starting left tackle going into this season was Kingsley Suamataia. He was not even active for this game, I don't believe. So it's just like, actually, I think he was, but didn't play. I mean, he wasn't even a thought when the Chiefs offensive line
he was never going to
play.
Yeah, he was never going to play in this game. I also think, a lot of this game goes on Andy. Mahomes wasn't great. The offensive line wasn't great, but like, remember in Super Bowl 55 when we were screaming for Andy to make adjustments when it was clear that the protection was not there?
Get banned, bitch. Sorry, go ahead.
I saw that. I was going to say something about it. But this is the second time now in which, like, protection was an issue, and Andy didn't make any adjustments. They abandoned the run. They ran it maybe like 2 times to open up the second half, and then just went back to throwing it, putting Mahomes in danger. It's because sometimes you have to run the ball just to get the chunk yardage, and also to make sure Mahomes isn't getting hit on every single snap, every single drop back. That's also why it's important to run the ball. And, I thought it was malpractice in the second half to roll out there and still have Joe Thuney and Mike Caliendo. And this isn't just an Andy issue. This is something that this coaching staff has done a lot of times through, over the years, whether it was like Dan Sorensen and Juan Thornhill in the secondary or whatever. But like, why not just put DJ Humphries in at that point, right? I'm not saying start the game, but like at that point when you knew it wasn't working, why not put DJ Humphries in there and move Thuney back into left guard? What was the worst that could happen by trying that?
Maybe you would have lost by another touchdown, Josh. Maybe. like that's the kind of thing. And my buddy said this. His name is Joey Segura. We did Bleacher Report stuff together. We call every Super Bowl during halftime. We talk about what the Chiefs need to do. This halftime talk was the exact same that it was back in 2020 when they lost to the Bucs. It's like, this game's over. This game is over. But he said that Andy Reid, to a fault, goes into a game with a game plan, and he is going to ride that game plan until he goes down with the ship. There is no adjustments. He is going to ride out what he thinks is best, and that's why the Chiefs lost this game. I mean, there was no adjustments made whatsoever. The Chiefs threw the ball, continued to throw the ball when Patrick Mahomes was getting sacked on back-to-back plays. What do you do? What do you do?
Well, and then at the end of the game, well, I don't know if you were watching, but
I was listening probably.
Xavier Worthy had like a huge deep touchdown, great catch.
Yeah.
Beat double coverage in order to score a touchdown. And it's like, what took so long to break that out? And I just feel like that's kind of the story of this, because there's also multiple times in this game where Worthy was open down the field and Mahomes didn't see him. And that's just kind of the story of the season. This offense was never quite right. Mahomes was like turned into Alex Smith, neutered by the coaching staff and the front office again. Like, personnel was part of the reason why they couldn't, bring out the deep ball. And the deep ball has been absent from this offense for almost 3 years now. And it's a problem. Like, the Chiefs were able to win a lot of games. They won 2 Super Bowls without really having, an elite passing attack. But man, it's about time that something is done to make this offense multidimensional again. Because over the past couple of years, it's been quick passes. It's been, gimmicky. Like, I don't know if you remember, but after they lost to the Bucs in the Super Bowl, it was Devin White, the linebacker, that said, their offense is really gimmicky, and so therefore it was easy for us to figure out. And I think, that was what we saw in this game. The Chiefs offense was gimmicky, and the Eagles were like, yeah, we're not falling for that shit. And they overwhelmed us from beginning to end. And Creed Humphrey even said after the game, the Eagles didn't do anything different than what we saw on tape. We just couldn't stop it. And that's really alarming to me. And I think also, I've never been a guy that's like, this is Matt Nagy's fault, fire Matt Nagy. But I do think you might need to bring in new voices. And I've said this before. I think it's time to bring in new blood to this coaching staff because clearly, it's just getting stale.
Matt Nagy gets to learn Chinese now because he needs to get out of here. He needs to get out of here. And it's not even his fault. Someone needs to get fired. Someone needs to get fired. That's the kind of loss that this is. Whether it's a tackle, whether it's a guard, someone has to get fired. There needs to be heads rolling because that's an unacceptable loss. I understand that you won back-to-back championships. Josh, this game was over at halftime, man. The Chiefs, they had no chance to win this game at half. It was 24-0. This was over. It was really over after that Cooper DeJean pick. The pick 6, It was over.
That's when you really felt like, okay, that might be it. Because and the reason, Michael, why I thought it was over after the Cooper DeJean pick is because this offense, again, I don't think is capable of that type of comeback. They have not been all year. Michael, when in the third quarter, when they went up 24-0, it took me a minute, but I was like, I just realized that the Chiefs would have to do something in one half that they struggled to do all year, and that's score 30 points to win the game. And you just knew it wasn't happening because this offense has been neutered by the front office and by the coaches. And I'm going to say that over and over again. And it's going to be a major talking point all off season. Now, Michael, while it was a bad night for the Kansas City Chiefs, it's a great night, a great night for us so far. 165 people watching, almost 170 guys. If you're watching right now, hit that like button, share it, and subscribe so more Chiefs fans can find this because that helps us get found. We got a great crowd in here tonight. We're all here to bitch together. That's what this night is for. But yeah, Michael, I just, and I saw it in the comments as well. We need a dynamic running game again. Kareem Hunt and Pacheco, part of it was that Andy Reid just went away from the run. And I understand, kind of why, you decide to drop back and throw, at a certain point every single time because you're trying to get back in the game. You have to kind of abandon the run a little bit. But we also don't have a running back that can truly threaten the way a Saquon Barkley can because that is part of why the Eagles offense was able to be opened up tonight is because you could tell this Chiefs defense was focused in on Saquon Barkley. And even if you're stopping him, which they did for most of the night, that creates a situation where the Eagles are like, yeah, we're going to take a shot here. And they converted on quite a few of them. And this also, I said it earlier, this is the kind of game that makes you really wonder what it is you have on this team going forward. And I think Jalen Watson and McDuffie are still incredible, right?
Yeah.
But they clearly did not have a guy that was big enough to match up on A.J. Brown. They just didn't. And McDuffie, he's great. He's an all-pro. And you heard Tom Brady talk about him on the broadcast. McDuffie is just at such a size disadvantage against A.J. Brown. The Chiefs don't have a guy that can cover him.
No. And listen, I think that this loss, while it stings really bad. I don't think I could live with myself if the Chiefs would have lost last year to the Niners the way the Chiefs beat the Niners. I genuinely don't know if I'd sleep for 48 hours. That's the kind of loss that I don't know how you even recover from. Clearly, the 49ers didn't. And so, yeah, the Super Bowl hangover is something you kind of have to think about a little bit. But at the same time, this Chiefs team is different. I understand that they just lost this game. They got blown out. They're going to be able to make some moves this offseason. And with the talent that they do have on this roster, you're going to have Xavier Worthy, who's really looked fantastic down the stretch.
A lot of momentum going into next year. I mean, he looked like a star. Granted, a couple of the big catches came when the game was already over. Excuse me, I almost dropped my phone. A lot of the big catches came after the game was pretty much over. But, I mean, he's just a guy you watch and you're like, yeah, he's going to be good. Now, what else can we add?
You got Rashee Rice. You got a couple other pieces on offense. Travis Kelce's future is still kind of up in the air. I want to say he's going to be back.
Well, here, I actually want to talk about that real quick because, I mean, obviously I'll welcome Travis Kelce with open arms if he comes back next year. But, like, even he was not great in this game. And if he were to retire, I think it puts more pressure on this Chiefs front office. Like, oh, wow, we don't have Kelce anymore. Like, that forces you to make a big move to get Mahomes, a new security blanket on offense because he would no longer have Kelce. And also, I will say as well, actually, Eric just commented it down below. I wouldn't call Kelce a bad contract. He's actually been underpaid for a while. Well, I mean, I understand why Eric says that, but like that's a lot of cap space that could potentially come off the books to go and add, maybe a veteran of some sort that isn't Travis Kelce, but gives you more depth, more options in this offense. And I think, the Chiefs, they had options in the wide receiver room this year, but we kind of saw it down the stretch. I think DeAndre Hopkins is done. I think, he had some good moments for this team, but like you even saw that drop. Like that was a ball that 5 years ago, D-Hop is not dropping. That drop that he had in the first half. I think D-Hop, you've kind of seen it. Everyone's like, where is it with D-Hop? I think it's gone. I think he's done. This is usually how it goes with wide receivers his age. They just all of a sudden drop off. And I think he's done. And I think you need to add more. Obviously, Rashee Rice getting hurt this year, threw a wrench into things. But also, like, I think you still need to continue to add. No complacency. And I think a big reason why the Chiefs lost in this game is complacency all over the place.
Yeah, and listen, the Chiefs have won Super Bowls outside of today in back-to-back years. I guess they're no longer the champions, but before today, they had won back-to-back championships when I don't think they actually put their best foot forward to win. I mean, guys, after trading Tyreek Hill, they won back-to-back championships and were one game away from three-peating. So this team is going to be back there. I have no, I guess I don't really worry about the future because I understand what we have with Patrick Mahomes. Why, a lot of people are going to be upset with the way this game ended, and I'm not super happy right now either. But like, this isn't like we just watched the final game of Patrick Mahomes' career. We didn't see that. We saw a player that's probably going to be more motivated than ever to go out there and try to find a way to win it next year. And this team is going to be able to make a lot of adjustments in the offseason. The draft is going to be crucial. I mean, we're going to talk about that all offseason long. So for the 160 people watching right now, hit that like button on this stream, subscribe to both of our channels.
Almost at 200. Can we get to 200 tonight? We're at 193 right now. Guys, like this video, send it to someone get them on here. Let's get to 200 because
we might get to 300 or 400, Josh. I mean, that's the kind of night this is, and I guarantee you that we're going to get a lot of opposing teams fans, some Eagle fans in here that are just wanting to hear what a Chiefs fan has to say after this. But listen, this isn't the last dance. I mean, no pun intended with the
maybe for Kelce, but
yeah. But like at the same time, like as long as you have Patrick Mahomes, you're gonna have a chance to win every year. And I think that this is only a wake-up call that you got to go put talent out around him because it's just not good enough right now. His offensive line's not good enough. And I also think that they've become too reliant on Patrick Mahomes working with less, whether it's offensive line or whether it's with receivers. And, he's won Super Bowl, so it's kind of hard to be like, it's hard to fault them. But guys, they got molested in this game. And I think it showed. And to go out like that on national television in front of the entire world, that's going to leave a very sour taste in the mouth of Patrick Mahomes and Brett Veach and Andy Reid and definitely Clark Hunt. And so I expect them to make moves this offseason. And if they're not ultra aggressive, Josh, it might not be a let's go win it next year. It might be let's kind of retool a little bit and come back in a couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I think we all agree this is not the last time the Chiefs will be in the Super Bowl. Now, it might be the last opportunity they get, the first and the last opportunity they get to three-peat, and that's why it stings a little bit more this time around. But I don't think this is the last time they'll be in the Super Bowl. Guys, Brady, I think he was 30-something by the time he played in his fifth Super Bowl. And, there's going to be more opportunities. Now, I will say, I think tonight, Michael, and it pains me to say this, I do think that it became a lot less likely that Mahomes ever catches Brady in the GOAT debate. And
I think you will.
well, he's
I'll
gonna
say
have to. He's gonna have to do a lot for me now, in my opinion. I mean, we'll have to let this loss soak in a little bit more, and we'll have to see what happens, as Mahomes' career goes forward. But I just think to not only because Brady was 3-2 after 5 Super Bowls, but the problem is you got blown out in 2 of them, and people don't forget that.
No, but people also don't forget losing to Nick Foles and Eli Manning twice. So it's one of those things that I heard after the first Super Bowl that Mahomes lost that, he can never catch Brady. And then literally just a couple of years later, we're already talking like, man, he's 1 win away from already being the GOAT. So like he is one of those players that is always going to be in the conversation. And listen, maybe I'm a homer, maybe I'm crazy. I'm going to tell my kids and my kids' kids that Patrick Mahomes was the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play this game. Nothing can really change that for me. He's done so much for us as content creators, for us as journalists. And so, yeah, I've got no problem saying that he's the greatest quarterback that I've seen play. And some people might hate that, but we've got a dynasty in Kansas City, Josh. In 7 years with him as a starter, he's been to 5 Super Bowls. So, yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, like, he's the greatest quarterback I've ever seen play personally, and like I have no problem saying that. But as far as the accolades, it's just going to be this loss made it a lot harder to catch Brady, in my opinion. But he still has a lot of career left, and I
People
think
also say Aaron Rodgers is the GOAT. Like, talk about doing ayahuasca. That's crazy.
Yeah, I also want to highlight this comment from Dylan Extra real quick because I forgot to mention this, but I feel the worst for Kareem Hunt because this felt like the year, man. You deliver it for Kareem Hunt, you get him a ring, D-Hop as well, but like Kareem was the big one for me. Like you wanted to see that guy win a ring because he deserved one, and now you have to start all over next year. And I do think Kareem will be on this team next year. It's just going to be more in a reserved role.
What on earth is going on, Josh? My life is melting down. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yes.
Okay, I don't know what's happening right now. My life's melting down. My internet's going away too. Like this has just been a horrible night for Chiefs fans, for us. I'm optimistic going forward. I really am. A go Bills in the. Do you guys want to go back 2 weeks ago? Do we want to rewind that tape? Do we want to rewind that?
Yeah, you guys weren't good enough to.
You guys might see a historic crash out in about 20 minutes, depending on how many comments we get. I'm going to lose my mind. I'm going to lose it. I'm going to lose my mind. I wish I had my rings with me because I just want to flex those right now. But, man.
So my question for you, Michael, and I, we don't have to get too deep into the weeds here because, well, again, we'll have all off season. We're going to have all season content, which is why you should subscribe to both of us and turn on the notification bell on both Show Me Football and KC Sports Report. But Michael, how much? So if you were to make a blame pie, okay, and you were to give a percentage of the slice to the Chiefs,
Andy's fat ass would probably eat it all, but go ahead.
If you were to give a percentage of the pie to the offensive line, how big would that piece be?
I'd give it 50% coaching. I'd give it 20% offensive line. I got to make sure that my numbers are correct. That's 70%. Yep. I'd give it 15% Patrick. 15% Patrick, and I'd probably give the other 15 to the defense because there were a couple times where I thought, okay, like really, like that Jalen Hurts deep bomb to Smith in the end zone. Like
some of the third and long defense again kind of killed you, like and allowed the Eagles to go forward on 4th down, and like you thought you had them stopped, and then you give up the big pass to Jahan Dotson. Like that stuff just it can't happen, and that's why I kind of thought this defense was a little bit of fool's gold. Like they were good this year, but like they still gave up a lot of explosive plays. And that was a problem for me coming into this game because you knew how many explosive weapons that the Eagles had. And they definitely got, some of those explosive plays. And like Jalen Watson getting beat off the line, you just can't have it, man. Not in the biggest game of the year. But my next question for you, kind of stemming from that, is what do you do with the offensive line? Because the Chiefs have a lot of free agents this year, Trey Smith being one of them. I've kind of shared some of my thoughts on Trey Smith before, especially in some recent videos, but like, I want to hear from you first. because obviously the left side of the line now needs some addressing, but you also have your own players that you already have to take care of, including Trey Smith. So, like, what do you do there?
If you have a chance to sign a left tackle, you let Trey Smith walk. You can get by with lower level guard play if your left tackle is solid. And I think that Trey Smith is going to command a lot of money. I've seen teams like the Raiders are even interested, which, you know, Trey Smith might be done winning Super Bowls if he goes there. But I feel like you probably got to go get the left tackle. I'm tired of seeing that become such an inconsistent thing. We won Super Bowls with
Stefan Wisniewski coming out of retirement playing guard for us and like playing well. Like that's what we've seen before. And I think Trey Smith, I've said it before, I don't want to pay an interior offensive lineman upwards of $20 million per year. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's a lower impact position. And let's not forget that the Chiefs drafted multiple interior offensive linemen in their most recent draft. They could have gotten a running back. No, they decided to go interior O-line. I think that was for a reason. You also still have Wanye Morris and Kingsley Suamataia, who, if they don't work out at left tackle, the Chiefs are definitely going to try on the interior. They've already talked about moving Kingsley at the interior. I think both of those guys have the size and the athleticism to definitely do well in the interior. And like you said, Michael, left tackle has become such an inconsistent, position for them. It has become such a need. That is where the money has to go towards. Not Trey Smith, a left tackle. I mean, because even Mike Caliendo at left guard, granted, not good, not an ideal situation for him to be thrown in there, but he came in and gave you replacement level play at left guard. And Mike Caliendo is a guy, didn't he come here as a UDFA initially? Like, this is a guy that you signed off the street and gave you replacement level play at left guard. You simply cannot find that type of value at left tackle. And we saw the Chiefs try it with DJ Humphries. It didn't work. You have to go out, I think, and make a splash with left tackle. And by splash, I don't mean spending another draft pick in the mid rounds on left tackle like you've done with Wanye and Kingsley, because then it's not an answer, because then you have to develop them. They might not be ready. And then if they're not ready, then what do? You have to go and get the known thing. And that might have to be a trade, or it's going to have to be a free agent such as our Ronnie Stanley. And then I think you figure out, what to do with the interior later. You can find someone.
You have got to go out and make a substantial move in the left tackle position. I'm tired of drafting players, expecting it to work out, taking these project pieces. You do not mess with the franchise. Patrick Mahomes is the franchise. They've just messed around and they've been able to get away with it because Patrick Mahomes has taken these mid left tackles and winning Super Bowls. Like, that's why you've been able to, not really talk about it as much, but you have to make a substantial investment at that position. I'm tired of seeing, Wanye Morris or Kingsley's not going to be anything at the next level, not as a tackle, maybe as a guard, not as a tackle. Like that's just the harsh reality. You saw it this season. The Chiefs don't have the time to wait and develop him. They just don't. They need the proven thing at left tackle, whether it's Ronnie Stanley, whether it's someone. They have to go make a move. Now, I'm not sure if Ronnie Stanley would end up signing here because he is going to command a pretty penny. And I'm not sure if the Chiefs can do that, but they got to make some trade.
And he can, because this is a weak left tackle draft class, and it's a weak left tackle free agent market. So, yeah, he can command money.
When you got to think, too, Josh, if you're not drafted in the top 10, you're not going to find a worthy left tackle at all.
No. And we've heard stories of them almost trading up. It was reported that they tried to trade up and get Amarius Mims, the left tackle from Georgia, ended up going to the Steelers, and they just have not been able to swing it. But maybe this is the year where you say, man, same way that you gave up a king's ransom to go up and get it wasn't necessarily a king's ransom, but you know what I mean, go up and get Mahomes. You might just need to pull off something similar to go and get your left tackle, or that position is solved for the next 5 to 10 years.
But the issue is Ronnie Stanley is not someone that you can be like, yep, guaranteed 5-year start. Like, he's had injury problems, and he is getting up there in age. I don't want to turn this into what the Chiefs need to do now, but they just got rocked in the Super Bowl, so we're trying to have something better to look at, I guess. But I feel like there's a lot of adjustments the Chiefs need to make, and I know that we're talking about the left side of the line right now. they need to bring in multiple offensive pieces at receiver, maybe not receiver, but like either tight
Running
end
back
or
for
receiver,
sure.
running back. Devin Neal, you better be a Kansas City Chief, buddy. I want to see you in this offense. Like they need to make a substantial move for the offense. They need more weapons. They need more pieces around Patrick Mahomes. And I think that you need better pieces around Chris Jones and Trent McDuffie. Go get a cornerback. Go get someone that's not Felix Anudike-Uzomah, man. Like that was a horrible first round pick. And it shows he came out of K-State. Sorry.
And that's a good segue actually into what I wanted to talk about next, because I said this to you before we went live, but I think this game was a culmination of all of the misses that Brett Veach has had as GM and all of the great moves that Howie Roseman has made as GM of the Philadelphia Eagles. These are two teams that have been in a similar spot over the last few years, contending for Super Bowls, consistently in the playoffs. Now, the Eagles had like a down year last year, which they were able to pick a little bit higher in the draft, and that's how they got, Quinyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. But like, I constantly hear from Chiefs fans, it's really hard to keep improving when you're picking at the end of each round. That hasn't been the case for the Philadelphia Eagles. They've been picking at the end of these rounds too, and they're getting great. They got Cooper DeJean in the second round, and that guy had a pick six in the Super Bowl. And meanwhile, you have Brett Veach, who in the first and second round the last few years, what does he have to show for? FAU, Sky Moore, Kingsley Sumatai. These are not guys that are helping you, and that matters in these games. That matters in these games when you're trying to win, when the team that is more talented, more often than not, wins these games. You're asking Mahomes to go out there without a left tackle to go and beat an Eagles team in which their GM has made good move after savvy move. We talked about this in a previous video, Michael, how they went out and they got Mekhi Becton, a guy that I was screaming for the Chiefs to sign as a low value, or not low value, but low cost, potentially high ceiling type of player. And he was a stalwart along the Eagles' offensive line in this game. Zach Bond was another one, a linebacker depth. Not that we necessarily needed a linebacker, but those are the types of moves that I see Howie Roseman making year after year. And Brett Veach is just kind of missing on them because he's doubling down on his failed draft picks. And it's not everywhere. He's still made some good moves, and I commend him for bringing in Kareem Hunt and bringing in D-Hop. Those were good moves. I applaud Veach for going out and trying to address those needs in midseason. But the problem is, Michael, that you wouldn't have had to do that if you had stacked depth in the offseason. J.K. Dobbins was a guy they had in the building, right? They let him go. And he went to the Chargers where he had a major bounce back year. Mekhi Becton, again, I'll say it, that was a guy that I was screaming for the Chiefs to sign. Could have potentially played left tackle for you in this game. And who knows how it goes then? Because then he's not on the Eagles' offensive line. So, I don't want to turn this into like a whole thing on Brett Veach and how he's terrible, because I'm not necessarily saying that. But I'm saying that this game is why I've kind of said for a while now that Howie Roseman is better than Brett Veach. And Brett Veach may be 1B to his 1A, but Howie Roseman has been that just a little bit better, and that's why the Eagles won this game, because, man, that team is damn good at stacking talent, and I kind of wish Veach would kind of follow a similar model. And, there's been times as well where it seems like the coaches and the GM are not on the same page. Veach burned multiple draft picks this year, trading for a guy like Joshua Uche, a speed rusher. The Eagles have a bunch of speed rushers that they love to use. They were awesome for them in this game. And then we have a guy like that Veach goes out and gets. For some reason, the coaches don't play him. He sits on the bench. And, Michael, we didn't really get that much pressure on Jalen Hurts tonight. And it kind of feels like maybe a guy like Josh Uche, who is a speed rusher, pass rush specialist, could have helped you. I know I just said a lot there. I'm sure you have some thoughts. But, man, I'm very much impressed with the job that Howie Roseman has done. And I really wish that Veach would have the same aggression sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, everything you said was just spot on. And I think that because I was just scrolling Twitter because I wanted to see what some of the Chiefs players had to say. And they were talking about how, Patrick Mahomes sat at the podium for 12 plus minutes and took all the blame for this loss. I think
Which, good on him for doing that. But, you almost kind of wish every once in a while he'd be like, I really wish my GM would get me a left tackle. Just come out and say it.
I wish my coach would, dial up some more run plays. So I'm getting absolutely molested behind the line. That's the kind of stuff that.
But he's too nice of a guy. He'll never say that.
No, and that's why he's a great leader. And so, yeah, it stinks. But I feel like when the Chiefs lost to Tampa Bay, they ended up signing Joe Thuney. They ended up making all of these moves that won them 2 Super Bowls. And so while this sucks, while this feels like you got a knife jabbed in your stomach and they just kept twisting it when the Eagles kept scoring, it almost feels like the Chiefs have nowhere to go but up. You know why? Because they just had one of the worst losses that I've ever seen. Like one of the worst losses. That's probably the worst loss in their franchise's history, just because of what they were going for was on the line. You know, to lose like that,
it stings the most.
It stings the most. It really does sting the most. Now, I do think it stings less because they did win it 2 years in a row, prior. But at the same time, there was history on the line, and the Chiefs choked. And I think that coaching is a big reason why they weren't able to win. And I need to see Andy Reid say, this was my fault. I didn't make adjustments, and that's why we lost.
Yeah, and I also want to pull up this other comment from Deuterino. I think I'm saying that right. He says Taylor was a bad contract, and
he wasn't even the problem tonight.
No, but here's because this kind of goes into my point I was making about Brett Veach a couple minutes ago. But you paid him $20 million to be your right tackle, which when they signed him, it's like, oh wait, he's going to play left tackle. Okay, the contract makes sense. Wait, no, he's playing right tackle. Why'd we pay him upwards of $20 million? This doesn't really make any sense, especially when he's an all right tackle, not elite, not a top 5 right tackle. And again, those are the moves that hurt, especially when you have so much money tied up in a player like that that's maybe not performing up to their contract, where you could invest that money elsewhere. And let's say a left tackle, Michael. And again, I really don't want to sound like I'm just dunking on Brett Veach here, because obviously they're not in this position without him doing some things right, in a position to actually go and win a 3rd Super Bowl. But like I said, one more time, those moves that you make that just are complete fat zeros, like a Sky Moore, like an FAU, like a Kingsley Suamataia, those hurt when you're trying to go on a run like this. Those missed moves hurt, because it's not just, Michael, that they didn't perform up to their draft pick. It's that they gave you nothing. They've given you virtually nothing to this point, and that really fucking hurts when you're trying to, extend this championship window, because you constantly hear about this team, how much they value draft picks and they value longevity, and they want to keep the window open for as long as possible, but they keep missing draft picks on the most important areas.
Yeah, and I saw a comment earlier talking about how Howie Roseman's basically just a Madden GM. He might be a Madden GM, but it's worked off. Like it's worked. It is what it is, man. Chiefs lose the Super Bowl.
And again, I'll say this one more time as well. We kind of excuse it sometimes because the Chiefs are picking at the end of every round, but I don't like that excuse, because if you're actually evaluating talent in the draft correctly, you can still grab contributors. Again, the Eagles got Cooper DeJean in the 2nd round. He kind of fell out of the 1st round, projected to go 1st round. The Eagles were like, how has no one taken this guy yet? They scooped him up to go with Quinyon Mitchell. They're a fantastic rookie. And those guys made plays tonight. And meanwhile, the Chiefs draft picks, some of their top draft picks over the past few years, they didn't do anything in this game. That hurts.
Kingsley didn't play. FAU didn't do anything. I don't know if he played. Probably not. I don't know. Yeah, man, it hurts. It hurts. But I will say, for all the people that are watching this live stream, whether you're just here to dunk on us, whether you're here to just hear some positivity after the Chiefs lose the demoralizing game, I will say this. Josh and I have been creating content every single week for you guys. That's not going to stop. Even though we're in the offseason, it's going to slow down a little bit, but we got free agency. We've got the draft. In a weird way, the Chiefs losing this Super Bowl is going to almost ignite a fire into us, because now we get to rebuild this team from the ground up to get back to this point. And listen, they're not as far away from getting back as everyone thinks that they are.
Yeah, it's easy to overreact. It's easy to overreact after a game like this and be like, the Chiefs need to, and they're still on the to-do list for sure. But you make a good point. This makes the offseason a little bit more exciting now, knowing that the Chiefs need to do some things in order to get back.
Yeah. And listen, Brett Veach knows that. That guy doesn't already sleep. He's definitely not going to sleep after tonight. I think it's like, okay, we know the work we got to, go out for. And I think
Lucas Murphy, he's watching live.
Man, it's a tough one right now, Lucas, but I wish I had your glowing optimism right now because, man, I don't have a lot of it. I'm trying to find it. I will say, though, again, and maybe this is just me coping. It might be, but guess what? I'm going to do it to you guys. The Chiefs won back-to-back Super Bowls in a era that is just so difficult to win, in a franchise in the middle of the country that had so many years of heartbreak after heartbreak after heartbreak. They went 50 years between winning Super Bowls, an entire lifetime for some people, and we saw this Chiefs team win 2 in back-to-back years. So it's just like, while this one stings, and I'm not going to forget about it, but I'm going to try to forget about it very quickly. We have seen this team play at the best level that we've ever seen a team play at. Like they were able to get farther than any other team in NFL history, something that no one else has been able to accomplish. So like, yeah, this one stings, but this isn't the end of the story. This is just, the beginning. We haven't even entered into Patrick Mahomes' prime yet. So like, he is not even 30 years old. I think that we're in a good spot with the franchise. Put pieces around him. Let's roll again.
Well, Michael, a lot of people this goes for everyone actually, but like you're going to see a lot of people after tonight. Again, mostly
Frosty. Sorry.
Mainly I saw that.
That's fantastic.
This is a popular copy and paste, but I want to read it out loud just for a laugh. I just smashed my TV in front of 30 guests at my party because of the game. My wife just took our crying kids and said they're all spending the week at a hotel. This team has ruined my life. Now imagine if you were a fan of any other team, man, because I don't know what you would be doing. This game sucked, but like Michael just said, it's not like they didn't just win back-to-back Super Bowls right before this. But as I was saying before that, you're going to see a lot of people after tonight, mainly talking heads on TV, say the Eagles just destroyed the Chiefs dynasty. The Chiefs will be back. I don't know if it'll be next year. It'll probably be sometime in the next few years. They will be back. They're going to be right back in the AFC Championship game next year. That should fully be the expectation. And then, I want to bring up this comment from Pat King, if I can, or no, not Pat King, Sit Mike. He says, every team has the blueprint to demolish the Chiefs now. And this is just ridiculous to me because they said this after 55, and it's like, if the blueprint is the Chiefs having no offensive line, or in this game, no left side of the offensive line, then sure, cool blueprint. But that's basically banking on the fact that the Chiefs are going to have an unplayable left side of the offensive line. I don't think that'll be the case again next year, Michael.
Well, and Josh, I might get some flack for saying this. I'm going to look right into my camera and say this. This Super Bowl championship could not have gone to a worse fan base. The Eagles fan base is disgusting. You guys are a bunch of just clowns. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope that your team completely falls apart next year and has that Super Bowl hangover. We wouldn't know what that's like. But I really do think that you're going to see a lot of people just completely, rub it in the Chiefs' faces. Again, the Eagles fan base is full of, scummy people. So I'm not really like, oh, congrats to Eagles fans. Like if this was the Lions, I wish the Lions won the Super Bowl, man. I could congratulate them. I could feel happy for their fan base. Man, Eagles fans are the lowest of the low. I don't feel good for any one of them.
No, I agree. I do have a question, though, for you that I thought of while you were saying that. Knowing the result now that we got, would you rather the Chiefs get blown out in the Super Bowl or lose to Buffalo close in the AFC Championship?
I'm taking the loss.
You're taking the loss?
Yep. It's a different kind of pain. And honestly, I will say that losing the way that we did, it's kind of like, oh man, this game's over at halftime. Like I kind of was coping in the first quarter because of how poorly the Chiefs were playing. So I was kind of like, okay, this game's already over. Let's just see what they end up doing the rest of the game. And like most Chiefs fans, I turned it off after the third quarter. Like I'm just like, I don't need this. I don't need to sit and watch them just completely get steamrolled, especially when the game was already over. So I turned it off. But I feel like, what was your original question? Sorry, I completely forgot.
Would you rather, knowing the result of this game, take the blowout loss in the Super Bowl or lose close to Buffalo in the AFC Championship?
Oh, I'd absolutely rather lose close. I think that, losing Super Bowls absolutely suck. But yeah, I mean, you made it. You made it, Josh, but you made it.
It's tough, but luckily not luckily, but Super Bowl 55 kind of conditioned me to handle a Super Bowl loss.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of like, this sucks, but like I do think the Chiefs will be back. Again, there are some things to be positive about going forward after this game. Like Xavier Worthy, I think he looks like a star. He's going to be a stud. Nick Bolton had a great game. Let's hope that maybe the Chiefs find a way to bring him back on a fair deal. Because I thought that's a guy that has shown up now multiple times in the Super Bowl. But yeah, there's going to be some things that the Chiefs have to do this offseason because there wasn't too many position groups that looked great tonight. Yeah, I'm just really excited for the offseason because there's a lot to talk about, a lot of needs to address. But again, I don't think the Chiefs are as far as everyone will think after this game. It's easy to say after that game, oh man, this team sucks. But really, it's just a bad game. It happens. Oh, now I will say though, Mahomes, man, it just kind of disappoints me. And I know it wasn't all his fault tonight. The offensive line did him no favors, but we said it, in our preview. Lucas Murphy, who's obviously still watching right now, he knows, we talked about it before and that breakdown that we did. We're waiting to see that Mahomes Super Bowl where he's great from start to finish. And he even talked with the sideline reporter prior to the game beginning and said, it's important that we start fast in this game. And for whatever reason, this team just cannot seem to start fast. And it's absolutely killing them in the Super Bowl. Obviously, each time they were able to pull off some comeback after being down double digits. And as fun as that is, it's not sustainable. The plan shouldn't be to go down by 10 in every single Super Bowl. And man, I'm just, Mahomes, he was great, in the second half, 58 in overtime. He was masterful. 57, he played a great game despite the ankle, but we're still waiting on that truly great Mahomes Super Bowl performance.
Yeah, no, I think that we'll get it eventually. It's just going to be a while. But I will say for everyone in the comment section, I see a couple of the homies saying, I'm getting pissed of all the people saying that we lost because the refs finally didn't help us out. You just got to stop talking to those people. Let them say whatever they want. We've got back-to-back championships. They can say whatever they want to say. And I think that's maybe the toughest part about losing a Super Bowl is you got to go all off season and listen how, your team is
what
bad.
The worst part about it is, I'm sure you experience the same thing, Michael, is people that I haven't talked to in months or that I don't typically talk to are all of a sudden hitting me up because they know I'm a Chiefs fan to make fun of me because my team lost. That's the worst part about it. I'm just getting texts from people that I never get texts from just to piss on my grave.
Yeah, and there might be some people saying what do you mean the Eagles didn't deserve to win? No, the Eagles 1,000% deserve to win. I just don't think their fan base deserves to have happiness. But
right.
No, I definitely think that the Eagles are the better team in every single way. Nick Sirianni outcoached Andy Reid. Incredible. And all the people saying pregame that the Eagles were going to blow out the Chiefs, I thought they were high on crack. And they were absolutely right. They were absolutely right.
Yeah. No, yeah, we'll hear our words there. I mean, they dominated this matchup from start to finish. That's kind of the scary thing for me, though. If you want to take a doom and gloom angle on this, Andy Reid, man, how do you look so unprepared in the biggest game? Because, obviously, Michael, the Chiefs have gone up against some really good teams this year, but, always looked like they belonged on the field with them. But now, in the biggest game of the year, it's mentally this team just they're soft. And I don't want to say that about this group because I don't want to believe that, and I just refuse to believe that a group led by Mahomes, Kelce, and Chris Jones is soft, especially after everything those guys have been through and done for this organization. But man, second time now in a Super Bowl where they just looked like they didn't have it, and Andy Reid had them totally unprepared. And that's the scary thing to me just a little bit is that, you should not get ran off the field like this. This team is too good. Yeah, I'm really disappointed in Coach Reid and staff. And we always talk about Andy Reid coming off the bye week. And it just could not have gone worse. And
funny enough, earlier in the playoff run, I made a video talking about how Andy Reid was the greatest advantage because he's so good coming off of the bye week. a couple of years ago when the Chiefs lost to the Eagles in the regular season, they were coming off a bye week. Nick Sirianni beat them. Like,
Yeah, no,
this
there's been more data now that is indicating, like in recent years, that Andy Reid off the bye week is not as great of an advantage as it used to be.
Yeah, and that's tough. But I will say that the better team won tonight, and I think that if we just went based off who is the better team in all of the Super Bowls the Chiefs have played, they might never have been the better team. Like, you could look at every single roster that they have played against, and they were probably better than the Chiefs. The Chiefs won, though, because they had Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. But it is tough to see that after 2 weeks off, you didn't have anything creatively on offense to draw up. Like,
And no
nothing.
adjustments. No
Yeah.
adjustments, man. Like, again, when the pass protection wasn't there, you didn't see a bunch of chipping. You still saw them drop Mahomes back, and Mahomes didn't look comfortable all night. And no DJ Humphreys, even when things look dire with Mike Caliendo. It's like, that doesn't make it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, and this comment says out-coached, not really, just didn't have the right warriors in the trenches. No, he got out-coached. He absolutely got out-coached. Like, I understand they might not have had the right pieces, but you made no adjustments. You made no adjustments whatsoever. You ran the ball every single time, or you threw the ball every single time. You didn't run the ball like more than 3 times in the first half. That's why you lost. Like, you didn't make the adjustments needed to give Mike Caliendo some help. They didn't chip. Did I see anybody chipping, Josh? I don't think I did.
And I mean, like, I tend to blame coaching a little bit more because of the fact that this is the same Chiefs offense that we've seen all postseason long that has gone up against some good pass rushers, really good pass rushers, and they never looked that bad. That tells me it's a coaching issue. Now, matchups change, and some matchups are worse than others, but like, let's not forget that the Chiefs played the Houston Texans in the divisional round, that Neil Hunter and Will Anderson had more sacks than any pass rushing duo in the NFL this year, and the Chiefs were able to find a way. I just, and because of that, I tend to lean a little bit more towards coaching being the issue.
Patrick Mahomes tweeted out half an hour ago, appreciate all the love and support from Chiefs Kingdom. I let y'all down today. I'll always continue to work and try to learn and be better for it. Want to give thanks to God for every opportunity he has given me. We will be back. So while this stings, while it does not feel good, you got to trust Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid can figure it out. Listen, at the end of the day, that's the hope that we have, that one day we will get back to this point and find a way to get it done. Patrick Mahomes has been to 5 of these things in his first 7 years as a starter. He's got at least 15 years as a quarterback left. Like, you're telling me he's not going to get to 1 of them, 2 of them, 3 of them? Like, we are going to be back in this moment, and I'm confident that we're not going to make the same mistakes twice. But who knows? I guess they did make the same mistake twice, but is what it is.
Well, Michael, tonight it's safe to say that we had egg on our face.
We got
or
slimed.
In this case, slime on our heads because of what we predicted in our preview. But I am confident in saying that the Chiefs will prevail at some point again, and they will be back in this game, and they will be on the winning end. They'll be more prepared because, I think you'll see more people talking about this, how maybe after winning the last 2 Super Bowls and beating Buffalo in that AFC Championship and knowing, that they were about to be the first team to ever three-peat, that maybe they came into this game a little bit,
over their skis a little bit.
Yeah, and now that they've gotten kind of that gut punch again, like, it's not going to be easy. You're going to see them a little bit more motivated next year. And we talked about this too, Michael, like back, right before the playoffs, going into the playoffs, about how when you lose a Super Bowl like this or a season ends like this, sometimes you look at a lot of guys on this team and you go, I think we need some new faces, because sometimes you lose a little bit of that hunger because you just kind of expect to win, or you won that first Super Bowl, if you were a newcomer here, and it's just like you let your guard down. And I think it's time for the Chiefs to add some new blood, add some new faces, both on the sidelines and on the field.
Absolutely. And I think that, again, they're not that far off. They could absolutely go back next year. I know that might sound crazy, That's how good this team is going to be. And you're really only going to have 2 or 3 teams in the mix in the AFC. You can go back. Absolutely, you can go back. And the Chiefs' schedule is not going to be easy next year. But I think they're going to come out. They're going to come out with a fire. Listen, Andy Reid's not going to let this just completely crumble the team. And if the Chiefs were going to crumble, they would have done it by now. They would have done it by now.
If you want to kind of like, find a silver lining in this, the Kansas City Chiefs were this close to pulling off something no other NFL team has done. And Michael, the injury bug hit them hard this year. They did not have Rashee Rice in this game. They saw their wide receiver 1, their wide receiver 2 go down at different points. Their running back 1 went down. Pacheco was never the same again this season. They lost Jalen Watson, who absolutely was not 100% still. I mean, you could tell. I mean, he just doesn't get beat like that, normally speaking.
Yeah.
And, despite everything really going against the Chiefs this year, they still made it to this game, and they were that close.
They were that close. And listen, at the end of the day, they have Patrick Mahomes, and that's the most hope that you need. I will say it is interesting. I'm looking back at my thoughts back in 2020, and I remember being very confident that the Chiefs were going to win that game. And I think that I was very confident the Chiefs would win this game. And those are really the only 2 matchups that I've looked at and said, oh, the Chiefs should win this game. And they didn't. They didn't win either of them. So I think that I almost
2021 AFC Championship as well. I mean, we were very confident going into that. And I'm not going to be confident about this team anymore. I'm just going to go in very, very, cautiously optimistic. No more
confidence.
No more overconfidence. Yeah.
Yeah.
That sounds terrible. That sounds like a terrible message, but it's like, as a fan, like the superstition part of it, it's like, I'm just going to be a little more low-key going forward.
I will say, Josh, the Chiefs had a horrible night, but Drake probably had a worse night. Drake probably had a worse night.
He probably did. Probably did. Michael, we're at an hour and 7 minutes now. Viewer count's kind of going down a little bit. I think it's about time to wrap this up. It's now 11 o'clock Central Time. So I think we're going to go ahead and wrap this one up, guys. But look, long off season ahead. Michael and I are going to be here to cover it. We're going to be here the whole way. Michael and I are actually going to try to figure out a way to maybe link up at the draft this year and cover that for you guys. So it's an exciting off season. Just because the season is over does not mean the content stops. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels. Show Me Football, KC Sports Report, no matter which side you're watching from. I think that's about all we got for this one. Michael, any final thoughts from you?
Yeah, guys, I just want to thank all of you for watching this live stream and supporting both of us all season long. I think both Josh and I doubled in subs during this season. So it's just like, we're so appreciative to you guys for supporting what we do.
Great season.
Great season. Great year for us. And I think it was a great year in some aspects for the Chiefs. But this is the fun part, Chiefs Kingdom. We are going to be here during this offseason giving you guys comprehensive breakdowns about how this Chiefs team can get back to a Super Bowl. And while we're talking about a Super Bowl loss right now, it's only a matter of time before Josh and I get on here for a post-game show where the Chiefs win another Super Bowl. So I think that that those days are going to be upon us once again. It's just going to be a little bit longer.
And I think the Chiefs will be even more motivated now that they lost to get back. I think, one thing we can agree on, Michael, is that I think it's now more likely that they go back next year after losing than it would be if they had won this game.
Yes,
they're going to be they're going to be even more motivated. But yeah, like we said, guys, that's going to be all for tonight. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe to both of our channels one more time, no matter which side you're watching from. Turn on the notification bell for both of us. You can check out my work on showmefootball.com, arrowheadaddict.com. Follow me on Twitter at showmefb, and then Michael, all your links and good stuff.
Just subscribe to me on YouTube at KC Sports Report, and for those of you that might be a little bit inebriated tonight, take it easy, my friends.
There you guys have it. That's all from us. We'll see you guys in the next one. And as always, go Chiefs.